Welcome, everybody, to our Stories That Inspire. I am Independent Sales Director Lisandra Collazo, and my co-host down here. Wait, we can't hear you. You muted yourself.
Oh, I muted myself. Hey, everyone. Welcome. And I'm so excited to connect with you guys this afternoon. And I am really excited for you guys to listen and to learn who this amazing woman that we're going to present to you today is. So get excited.
Awesome. Thank you, Sharon. So today we have none other than future executive senior sales director, Lucia Fernandez, with us today. So today we're going to hear a little bit about her story, and then we're going to have some girlfriend time. So Lucia, it's all yours.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much for inviting me. There's nothing that I love the most than just sharing my testimony, my story in America. I love to motivate women. I love to inspire women. And I've been in this business for 22 years. This is my anniversary month on the 23rd. I'm going to be celebrating 22 years in Mary Kay. And Mary Kay is in the 57th anniversary this month. And I joined Mary Kay 22 years ago. I didn't know it was an anniversary month. And what a coincidence. What a beautiful coincidence is to join on a Mary Kay anniversary month. And I am just so excited because we are going through so much changes, but are positive changes to our career and so many great things that are happening. When I started 22 years ago, I have 4 kids. At that time, I have the 3 oldest, and they were 7, 4, and 3. So I'm from Puerto Rico. I don't have any family here. So I decided that I was going to work nights, and my husband is working during the day, and we were just going to trade the kids, right? He was going to come home, and I was going to be on my way out. But I was always looking for something to do. I would always look for something to do. I never wanted just to stay at home. So I was working for a bilingual newspaper, a local newspaper here in marketing. And I was taking care of 2 more in the afternoon. So I will go and pick up my daughter at 2 o'clock in school with my 2 little ones, the 3 and 4-year-old. I will go and pick up my 7-year-old in school, bring her with 2 more from my neighbors, 2 more kids, take care of them. She needed to pick them up at 5 o'clock, and I needed to be ready by 5:30. My husband needed to be at home, and I had to be on the go by 5:30, no later than 5:35, because I started at the newspaper at 6 o'clock. So you can imagine the stress, but you know that most of the time we just kind of fall into a mold that squeeze you into certain life, and it just looks so normal that we get used to that, right? And we don't do anything to come out of that stress. So when I was offered the opportunity, it was one of the moms at school, and she was from Colombia. And she also had 3 babies, and her oldest was in school. I think it was in kindergarten. And she saw me one day just coming into my house, and she stopped right on my driveway. She stopped. And she said that it took everything from her to stop in my driveway and ask me, have you ever been asked to be a model for a facial? And she told me it was with Mary Kay. And I said, absolutely, I would love to. And she came to my house the next day. I had my 3, the 2 that I babysit, and I had her 3. So you can imagine we had 8 kids in the house, and I was just having a good time just doing my facial. But I absolutely loved what she was doing. And I went as a guest to her studio, and I joined Mary Kay. I signed my agreement. And you know, one of the things that I say, Lisandra, is that sometimes we focus so much in everything that we're doing that we don't see the opportunities. And that was an opportunity for me. And thank God that he gave me the eyes to see it, because really my plate was full. I mean, I had 3 babies, no help, no babysitter, taking care of 2 more, and working nights, part of the night. So because my adrenaline was so high, I was doing so many things during the day, it was impossible for me to relax. It was like I barely slept, right? So during the day, I was always tired, but I knew it had to be something different. I never thought it was going to be in direct sales, because I've never, ever sold anything in my life. But, you know, it was just something that I needed at that time, and God sent exactly what I needed at the time that I needed. And thank God that he gave me the eyes to see it, because I could have easily said, I am too busy, right? And anyone can relate to that. I'm just too busy. I've never sold anything in my life. I don't know where I'm going to find the time because I am constantly busy. There was not a minute in the day that I was not doing anything. And, but I was able to see the benefit of this opportunity. I was able to see the heart of Mary Kay, you know, the having just the priorities in place, you know, first God. As a Christian woman, for me, that is absolutely important. And it's the number one thing, then family, and then career. And I think that when you have things in order, everything works better, right? Everything works better. And when I was working for the newspaper, you know, even though that it was not the whole night, I was busy. It was like I was all over the place. I was just trying to make everything just kind of hold the place together so they don't fall and break, you know. So I was constantly in stress, you know, and I didn't know, which is the sad thing. You don't know when you're in stress. You know that you're managing a lot of things, but you don't know that you're in stress because you have molded yourself. You have fallen into that mold so easily and so naturally that you just function like that. But it doesn't have to be that way. You have to find a way to do something different. And I needed to get more busy before I had more freedom. So I had my job and the kids and taking care of the other two kids and my husband and the house and the homework and the laundry and the cleaning the house and the doing all of the things that mom does, right? And I added Mary Kay into my life, and I was doing Mary Kay only on Saturdays, but I saw the results that I had doing Mary Kay on Saturdays. And I had to learn, and this was 22 years ago. Girls, we didn't have cell phones. I don't know if you can imagine your life without cell phones, but we didn't have social media. I mean, God knows all things, because you imagine this happening 22 years ago, but that would probably going to be the end of it, or a story of success, because out of every crisis, there's always stories of success. And there was no social media, there was no cell phones, and I built this business being busy. And just one step at a time. You can build anything one step at a time. Definitely. So that's what I decided to do. And I signed my agreement. I started as a new consultant. I worked my business on Saturdays. And then after that, I just did it very consistent, very disciplined. I think that discipline is the key to success. Sometimes you think that you need so much time. We can have all the time in the world and not necessarily do anything with it, right? We need to be consistent and we need to be disciplined. And consistent means doing it when you don't feel like it, right? That's discipline. But sometimes you don't feel like making that one more phone call or making that decision because your life doesn't look perfect. Well, things doesn't have to look perfect. You don't wait until all the street lights are green to leave your house. There's always going to be a red light. But that's where courage comes from, right? Just coming out and doing what you can and building yourself, because the more you grow, the more power you have, because you're going to know more things, and knowledge is power. So that's exactly what I did. And 9 months after I was doing Mary Kay, I resigned at the newspaper. I stayed only with Mary Kay. I sat down with my husband, and I think that was my hardest, stronger, and wiser recruiting. It was just explaining to my husband the marketing plan and telling him that this is going to work. And like he said, I didn't know how Mary Kay worked, but I knew how you will do it. And I trusted that, I trust that God had given you the knowledge, right? And the willingness, because the willingness, the wanting and that desire comes from him. So I prayed for that. And 9 months, I was out of my job, and I've been in Mary Kay for 22 years, never, ever looked back. To God be the glory. And I think that when you are committed to those, just to those changes, and you are especially a mom, for me, that was very heavy, that I was a mom and I needed to create something different for my kids, and I had the choice to try this and create something different, or just teach my kids to survive. And I didn't want to teach them survival. I wanted to give them a platform in where they can jump and build something different. And I always tell my kids, you can be in a desert island, and with your brain, what you have in here, you can build everything back up, and in a faster way, because you already have the knowledge, and that's your power. So, And I've been in America for 22 years. I've earned 12 cars, the use of 12 cars, so I've been blessed on that. So we have also saved money in car insurance and car payments. And I was calculating more or less in these 22 years is over $140,000. So where did that money went to? That money went to school, and my kids graduated from college without any debt, which is my biggest success, right? That my kids can graduate it without any debt. So that's my story, girls. I think that sometimes we make things harder than what they are. We just need to make decisions, be consistent to it, be disciplined, and just trust the process, trust yourself, and most of all, trust God, because things will come at a perfect time, right?
Amen. I love that, Lucia. Thank you. Sometimes every time I hear your story, I identify with you in regards to, I was in the corporate world. I also worked for, media and the media outlets. And especially in our culture as Latinas, that's a very prestigious job to have. And it's a blessing. I enjoyed doing that. But I also see the value in being my own boss and being an entrepreneur and having the flexibility. But it was a hard choice the day that I decided to leave that. People did not understand. How did you explain that? I know you obviously got your business partner, besides God, it's your husband. So he was on board, but like those family members and just your community that don't understand and can't see beyond the traditional mindset of having a boss.
Yes. Well, what I did is I was very careful who I share that information with, because sometimes when we share a lot of information to a lot of people, we're not sharing, we're looking for approval. And we have to be careful. Who are we asking permission from? You in your home, you know exactly what you need. You have a vision and where you want to go. And as long as you and your husband and yourself are aligned to that vision, because God will give you the vision. And basically, if we start getting opinions of so many people have emotions for you, family members love you when they want to see you, succeed. And when they see you, especially in our culture, our community, they see you stable. Why are you going to go for something you don't know? So I was very careful who I share the information with. My husband and I were aligned in what we really wanted in our lives. And I had his 100% support. And I think that was important to me, because that was the wing beneath my wings. Having his support was very important to me, because I didn't want to do anything that would put the family in jeopardy. But I had that knowledge of what the business was all about. I did not have that belief in myself 100%, but the belief grow. It grows as you grow in the business and in the company. And as you surround yourself with women that speak life into your life and that speak greatness into you and that stretch your mind into a different level, as you grow and your circle grow with women that think just like you become more confident in the decisions that you're making for your business.
That's awesome. So I have a question, because I did hear when you were sharing your story that you said you didn't have anybody here, right? So it was just you, your kids, your husband. So how were you able to manage not only being somewhere that is unfamiliar to you, but now you've mastered a Spanish market and the English market? So
yes, it was not easy,
that?
And it took time. When you tell a story, 22-year story in 15-20 minutes, it sounds easy. We see the success, but we don't see the road that I've been through. And in the beginning, it was not easy, because having the kids, between the football practice and baseball practice and dance practice and everything else, it really takes for you to be intentional, knowing when you're going to do your Mary Kay business and knowing when you're not doing your Mary Kay business, and just managing your time at a different level. Your time and your emotions, I think, is two of the most important management that you can do in Mary Kay. And it was not easy. I needed to know my husband's schedule, because my husband also traveled. So I needed to know his schedule. When I sit down with my weekly accomplishment sheet, I needed to know his schedule. I needed to know everything else. And then I will plan my week, but I was very intentional on that, and just double booking, just making sure that the appointments were going to happen. And, there was just so many things that needed to be in place. So many things. And that's the freedom, right? To have our babies with us and be executives and a mom at the same time. That's the freedom that we have with this business, and just being with them and starting in, you know, with the people that I knew and who do they know. I immediately starting to get through those people to see who do they know that I didn't know. And some of them had friends that were, you know, in the American market, and some of them were in the Spanish market. So that's how I expand to both markets. It was just going through the few that I knew that I didn't know a lot of people, planning my time. We bought a calendar. It was this big, a plastic calendar this big, and we put it in the laundry. And in there, we would write everything that we were doing. We really had to be intentional in order for me to being able to do this business, manage wise, and be intentional about it.
So Sharon is having technical issues. It's not just her children. Her internet went down. So we're going to continue. So I want to talk about, because like you said, in 15, 20 minutes, it's not easy to share the valleys and the mountaintops. So we've seen the transparency of what you said, that there has been those valleys. Who have you gone to, or what have you done to get yourself out of that valley?
Well, I'm very, like I said, I'm very careful who I talk to. And I had an adopted national. Her name was Beth Vernon. That I think that God just aligned us in a perfect way. I was just coming back from a business trip with Mary Kay, and all of a sudden I see that Beth Vernon gets in the plane, and you know, when you see these top nationals, you just go like, and she just got in the plane with Pamela Shaw, and I was just sitting with my husband, and we were coming back from a leadership conference, and I was just kind of saying, I feel that I can do more. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to come out of where I'm at. And I remember I was sitting in the middle. My husband was sitting in the window, and she came and sat in the aisle. That was her seat. And my husband just leaned on me and he said, that is just a God appointment. That's a divine appointment. You have to talk to her. And I'm like, she's busy. She's got papers, and she's got, because of the fear. And it's incredible to see how you allow the fear to hold you back sometimes for asking the right questions to the right people to get the answer. And I remember I looked at her and smiled, and she immediately started talking to me. And she says, so who are you? And we started talking. And that day, just what she told me, in 1 hour flight, because we had connections, it was gold for me. As soon as we landed, I wrote everything down, and I went home and I did exactly what she told me to do. And in 6 months, we doubled the numbers that we had. And it's just and she became my adopted director. So it was not that we were talking all the time, but every time I knew God sent, yes. Every time I knew that I needed something, I would give her a call. I would go to her hometown, sit down with her for coffee for an hour, and do exactly what she told me to do. I will not question. I will not doubt. I will not add or take off anything that she said, because if she's telling me this and she's giving me her time, that is exactly what I'm going to do. She was a national. She knew exactly what she was doing. And that's exactly what I did. So being very strategic to the people that you go to, because sometimes we just go to people that have not got the experience or doesn't have your vision of where you want to go. So go always to a higher level. They know how to, you know, pull you up. We can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Yeah, I think Sharon's having some severe technical difficulties. Aww. It's okay, because this is what our lives look like right now. Our kids are connecting to Zoom and computers and tablets. So it's all good. It's all good.
But this is how we're training people right now. You know, yeah. I'm doing a meeting and I have my consultants with their babies coming in, and, you know, and I totally get it. I build this business with small children. You can do it all. You can do it all. And this is what Mary Kay is all about. It's a family business. We're doing this business online now, virtual. Sometimes we lose connection. It's totally fine. Anyone can do this business. You just have to know that this is normal. This is our daily life, and it's okay. There's no stress. It's okay.
I totally agree with you. Now, it's funny because I think that we've all been there, regardless, you know, if people are in Mary Kay or not in Mary Kay, but, you know, because this is a sister Mary Kay call, we're girlfriends talking over coffee, tea. My brain says that we've all been in that same spot where we're like, oh my God, she is so busy. She is, she is her, and I can't talk to her because I'm afraid. And you being a leader, a strong leader, because I consider you a strong leader, your name precedes you, right? You talk about Lucia Fernandez, and it's Puerto Rico, it's Tampa, it's it's una imagen, right? So how have you been able to transfer that skill to your consultants, to your organization, when you've seen yourself in the same shoes, that you've had fear to talk to somebody that maybe intimidated you? Like, how could you tell somebody, well, it's just a question, right? So how are you able to guide them and coach them through not having that fear?
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of training. It's a matter of training, and it's a matter of trusting the opportunity in Mary Kay. We know what Mary Kay has to offer, and we know that it's different for every single consultant according to your efforts and according to what you want to do, because you are an independent contractor. But as an independent director, my job is coaching my consultants and being real and knowing that there's going to be certain emotions on you that are just part of you. They don't have to control your life. They don't have to control your decisions. And I think that that's the most important thing that I train my consultants. This is the emotion. This is how we feel. This is how you overcome. And this is how you trust. Because when we trust God, we know we are in strong hands. And just knowing that it's just part of the business. This is a journey. This is not that we're just going to do it in 2 days. When you're building the life of your dreams and you're willing to do the work, it is a journey. It's not a 2-day thing. And I think that for consultants, it is the most important thing that they need to know, that there's emotions, there's a process, and you have to trust the process, because it's building you and it's shaping you into a higher level of thinking, in where that's not going to be your fear anymore, because you overcome that fear, but also knowing that God did not give us a spirit of fear. We got to pray against that, and we have to dare and be courageous and make the steps and do the things that you've never done in order to have what you've never had before. But it's only as courageous as you want to be, because it is a choice. Poor Sharon. Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
She's like, you know what? She's probably like, I give up. It's okay. Okay.
It's okay.
Let me see. She just texted me. She's like, it doesn't work. So, okay. I have a question, because obviously we want to honor your time. If you could give Lucia that signed 22 years ago, if she could give Lucia that signed 22 years ago a piece of advice, what advice would that be?
Well, we did a video with Mary Kay that it was called My Story, Your Story. And that video earned 7 awards. And it's what will you tell the little you? And I think that what I will tell my little me, my little Luciita, no? It's just to trust God. Everything happens for a reason. And Romans 8:28 says that everything works for good for those who love God. Don't try to control everything, because when you control, you're not in God's will. You don't want to obey to his will. Just be obedient, be consistent, trust the process, always giving your best. Do not sit and wait, right? You have to be courageous. You have to continue to work, because that is part of being trusting God, that God is telling you, this is what you're going to do. I have already given you the blessing, but this is what you need to do to take possession of that blessing. So you have to shape yourself to be the best you. But one word that I will use is be courageous. Come out of your own shell, because you're giving yourself that power. God is giving you the power and the strength. You're becoming powerful, and you will impact the life of women. It's not about us. It's about who we're going to impact with this business, and who are we going to impact for the kingdom of God.
Amen. So I have to tell you, funny enough, last week we had Connie Miller, future executive.
I love her. I love her.
She mentioned the same exact thing, and it's funny how God aligns things, because when we booked our speakers, I didn't even think about the order. It was just like, God, who should we have to inspire the masses, right? So we had Connie, and she mentioned the same exact thing. She had mentioned about that same thing when corporate pulled you guys and said, talk to your younger self. And I can tell you, for anyone who has not watched that video, like I heard you talk about it, and I'm like, let me keep my eye makeup in check, because it was so powerful to the emotion that came out of you guys when you guys were talking to your younger self, and if I can affirm what I know of you, and the times that we've been able to share together, is that you could have quit when it got hard. You could have quit when it got hard, and you didn't. And 2 decades later, you have built a phenomenal organization. You are someone to look after. I see your national area building. So I'm very, very honored to have you here today. And I know Sharon is too. She says that sorry, she won't come back. She doesn't want to distract us. But I just, Lucia, thank you, because I know that the common denominator has been with our speakers, take God as your partner. And take God as your partner, and take God as your partner. We've had national sales directors, we've had sales directors.
I think we're being sabotaged by the Wi-Fi. Oh my God. I think we're being sabotaged with the Wi-Fi. But just to close it, know that that video that we are talking about, to what will you tell to the younger self? It's look at it right now. Like, what will you tell your children? We're back, right? The Wi-Fi is sabotaging us.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
Yes. I was just saying that to close it, because I didn't know if you were going to come back. It's that video that we're talking about, the younger self. It's looking at it that you can't go back and talk to yourself like that. You can only dream the things that you had the opportunity to tell yourself. But please know that you have the opportunity now to talk to your younger kids, your children, and change generations to come. Because when you change that one person, you can change generations to come. And one woman can, right? Is what Mary Kay says. And definitely our job and our priority and our responsibility, it's always giving our best everywhere we go without holding back, always giving our best.
Awesome, Lucia. Hopefully there's no more technical issues. Thank you so much for joining us. Next week we will have National Sales Director Lily Guthrow on our Stories That Inspire. So if you guys are watching either YouTube or Virtual Beauty Bar, we would love for you to come back. And Lucia, again, thank you so much for honoring us with your time. And we loved your story that inspired.
It's my joy. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.